There I am. Man, it's almost like I forgot how to do my podcast. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. I am the comedian James Money. Welcome to Hawaii Comedy with James Money podcast. Been away for a little while. I was on Kauai Island with opening for Tumotuine in Waimea in the historic Waimea Theater, which is really cool. It's Waimea town. It's definitely. I definitely wasn't in Honolulu. I mean, very small town, pretty much walking distance. Like I saw a sign that said Waimea is a walking town, and it's cool, but your boy is not trying to walk all around, get hot and sweaty before his show starts. But awesome city or town. Kauai Island was awesome. It was beautiful. The people were really cool, really chill, really nice. But the funny part was when you asked for directions, whatever. When we arrived in Lihue, we asked for directions and how long it would take for us to get from Lihue to Waimea, and multiple people were saying hour half drive, and we're like, wow, okay, because when we put it in our Google Maps, it was like 37 minutes or something. So it's like, maybe this isn't working properly on this island. And we were a little confused, but then when we were driving, we did. So it's a 1-lane road, and or 2-lane road, I guess, one going, one coming. And when you get stuck behind somebody who's driving slow, that's probably where the hour and a half comes in. But it was still only like 45 minutes to get from if it was a square, the southeast end to the southwest end. And it was beautiful drive, beautiful scenery, because we could see Niihau from Waimea. And it was pretty cool. The theater was awesome. It was very old school. There was a large stage. The people that worked there was awesome. Really took care of us. And one thing I started to notice as we were there, because we were there for the weekend, we got there Saturday, performed 2 shows Saturday night, and then performed 1 show Sunday. I started to look around, like, what I don't see? I don't see any Samoans. So what's up with that? Why is there no Samoans in here? The show is being performed. Myself and 2 more are both Samoans. So when I got up, you do any locals in the house or any tourists in the house, and I would ask, any Samoans in the house? And 2 shows, no one. Maybe they were there, but they didn't want to say anything. 1 show had like 1 or 2 people that was really quietly. I was like, man, where? So I asked, I think at the third show, where are you guys hiding the Samoans? Do you guys have any Samoans in here? Who's securing the buildings and stuff? All right, let's go to Comedy Corner. Michael C. Hall, you are first. Congratulations. Usually it's Johnny Rocks Hollywood, but I guess he's not here. But he will be a guest on Thursday in this podcast. So, he'll have a whole episode all for him. Oh, speaking of Samoans, C. Safari Muse, welcome. So the 2 people that's tuning in, thank you guys so much. More to come, I'm sure. But the 2 that I brought up, 1 in Oklahoma, 1 in California. So cool. And 1 in Germany, Krusty Pete. What's up, Krusty Pete? He's kicking around till he falls asleep. Man, I'm getting more scam calls. I'm getting scam calls while I'm doing my podcast. I don't know what's going on with all these. I'm not that interesting, I'm pretty sure. And I don't even have that. I don't have the money. I don't know why they keep coming at me. It's like, what do you? Over the weekend, I'm chatting with someone in Miami that is saying, asking me about Bitcoin. Do you know Bitcoin? Why don't? And I was like, I'm playing it off because I don't know you. Why am I telling you? Why would I tell you my business? And they're like, oh, what's going on here? Hang on a second. I know this is unprofessional. So I'm podcasting live.
Right now.
Yes, right now, right at this moment. And so Tyla's on my phone, trying to show me her muscles from the. No, you're not on. Okay, I can look at your muscles later.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Crazy. Athletes, college athletes, always trying to show off their muscles. So, all right. Alex Sosa, you were hilarious last night. Oh, thank you so much. So I think Alex is in Kauai or was in Kauai and watched the show. I love Kauai. The best, I mean, aside from the shows, the best part was going to Tip Top. Is it Tip Top? Tip Top Cafe to eat breakfast, and everybody. I posted a picture that I was there, and the pancakes are awesome. The breakfast is awesome. The place was packed, but everybody kept commenting. Did you get the oxtail soup? I was like, oh no. I was like, that's what they're known for. You're supposed to get that. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I got there in the morning for breakfast because we stayed up late after the second show. You got the adrenaline rush. We stayed up late also because where we were staying, this place called Cottages in Waimea, and it's quite eerie. It's a very spooky place. So we were thinking like, this place is probably haunted, and people were texting saying this, yeah, that place is haunted. So I was like, man, what's going on? Like darkness and dead quiet. So we're up late, chatting, and then it's all right. Let's go to sleep, and we got a show tomorrow. Let's get breakfast in the morning. Went to go take a shower. Got out of the shower. It's 2:30 in the morning. Lay down, get ready to go, and the roosters are crowing at 2:30 in the morning. I was like, wait a minute. Are these roosters on Mountain Time or Pacific Standard Time? It's 2:30. It's too early. What are you guys doing? And the room that I was staying in, the bed was right next to the window, and it's one of those windows. It's not louvers like I'm used to. It's one of those, like you pull up windows. And I was like, man, somebody's just gonna reach in and just yank me out of this room. And lights off. It's jet black. It's darkness, and like there was no sound. Literally, if I farted or if I was snoring, everyone probably I don't know. Maybe I should have set a recording, because I do snore. I'm big. I'm loud. Probably, people were hearing it. I was like, oh, there's a bear in that cottage over there. All right, Comedy Crew, Safari Muse. It's tough to make jokes that our Samoan peeps can relate. Maybe. I don't think so. I mean, if we talk about family, there's tons of stuff that we can really, and I think it's more generational, because maybe some of the stuff that I'm talking about for my generation, it won't relate to my uncles and aunts and my parents maybe. But I'm sure there's some things, because we all have things that are in common. We all got taught by either a stick or a belt. It was either you do it is either my way or the highway. I don't know if there's no highways in Samoa, but You know what I'm saying? I remember going to visiting American Samoa, Waitonga, the village that I'm from, and seeing um, the choir conductor training the teenagers. They're practicing, and would hit them with a stick when they were singing wrong. I was like, oh my goodness! It's like teenagers have the worst voice. It's like that's not the people to be hitting. It's like they're going through some changes. Those aren't the people that you know you should be smacking. But I think so. I think you can relate with a lot of different cultures and ethnicities. Johnny Rocks, aloha kakahiaka. Good morning. See you Thursday for the podcast. Johnny Rocks Hollywood will be my guest Thursday. And that one will be an early one as well. Crusty Pete, seriously, don't see any yanking you out of bed through a window. Just saying. Ha ha. Ha ha. Okay, so I don't think we understand here, Crusty Pete, or you understand, my friend, Mr. Pete. Ghosts have supernatural powers, man. Weight is not. They can walk through walls, buddy. So if I'm sleeping, snoring up a storm in Kauai, waking up the neighborhood, and making roosters crow at 2:30, maybe that's the warning. Maybe that's what the chickens in Kauai are for, is to warn us of all the ghosts. So they was yelling at us, saying, "Hey, the ghosts are here. Don't sleep next to the window. Cock-a-doodle-doo, man." Yeah. Hey, Johnny Rocks Hollywood, can't wait. Great seeing you. Love your podcast. Thank you, Johnny. All right, so Crust Beat, that's generational, regardless of where you are from. I got beat, and Redneck Florida ain't close to Samoa. I've always said, joked around that we were kind of like the rednecks, white trash of Polynesia. You guys are, Crusty P, you guys are from the dirty South. Samoans were from the dirty South Pacific. So, it's heavy with Christianity, cracks or slaps or whatever you want to call it, whooping. It's just something that we all went through. What do you call it? Let's see here. I'm trying to get my guest in here, but it's having some technical difficulties. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. You go over, share this. It's so funny to see myself when I click on Facebook. I'm live watching me live, or actually delayed. So, wait a minute, that got weird for a second. Okay, so just a few announcements. This Friday, I will be opening for Kenny Kusaka at Next Door. Go to ComedyUHI.com to get your tickets. It's going to be an awesome show. It's an amazing lineup. I'll be there. Next Door, which is in Chinatown on Hotel Street. Come help support Hawaii comedy, and please help support Kenny Kusaka. Kenny Kusaka's been doing comedy here, and he's up in the States for a little while, but he's one of ours. He's a Hawaii comedian that is loved among the comedy scene here. So he's going to do his, I don't know if this is his first headlining scene, but I think that's what he posted, headlining gig. I think that's what he posted. So he's going to be headlining, meaning he's doing 45 minutes of stand-up comedy at Next Door. So get your tickets at ComedyUHI.com. It's a Comedy U Hawaii presents. That was a lot for me to say right there. All right, what do you say we get this show? Let's get this show on the road, as the kids say. No, kids don't say that. Well, let me do this. Let's get the show started.
Live from the middle of the Pacific Ocean, it's Hawaii Comedy. With your host, James Money.
Island days, clear blue waters, and mountain ranges, and dancing daughters. I can't get enough of these island days. Won't you take me back to Honolulu? Yeah, that surf is high, and I am too. Sing songs all night long. I'm living these island days. Oh, they told me not to fall in love, but I just could not help myself. Oh, I missed my flight again. I was sleeping here with my new friend. Oh, yeah. Island days, clear blue waters, and mountain ranges, and beautiful daughters. Yeah. I can't get enough of these island days.
Yes, that is Tavana. Thank you so much for that beautiful music, Tavana. Really appreciate it. Those of you that would like to hear more, go check out Tavana at tavana808.com. You can find out his schedule, find out some of his where you can get his merch. He's an awesome musician. So that's tavana808.com. If you guys checking out my shirt, this beautiful, lovely shirt here. This is from Oahu Golf Apparel. You can check out these shirts at oahugolfapparel.com. They do hats, t-shirts, and golf accessories and are locally produced here in Honolulu, Hawaii. They offer fun, stylish activewear for on or off the golf course. Make Oahu Golf Apparel a part of your game. So I like it because, well, first of all, this is a giant shirt. This is 6 extra large. So big people out there, if you want yourself a beautiful shirt like this from Oahu Golf Apparel, go to oahugolfapparel.com. It's flexible, it's light, it breathes, so it's very cool. I recommend it for everybody. It's also stylish. It's got a collar, so if you can even wear it at work, or you can, when you're going out someplace nice, then you need a collar. So go ahead and get yourself a shirt like this at oahugolfapparel.com. Excuse me. Thank you. All right. Appreciate you guys joining this early morning. Usually we're doing podcasts at night, but today is a special one so that we can get our guest who is from the mainland or in California. He's having a little technical issues with his laptop. But I just wanted to say again, thank you to the people of Kauai for coming out to the show. I have more shows coming up this month. In fact, I am going to be, I don't want to say take over, but kind of taking over the hosting duties. I'm going to be hosting at Slack Key on Tuesday nights. Not next week, but the following week, which is March 22nd. There's going to be small changes. It's still going to be a showcase. So those you comedy kids out there, don't feel like, oh, what, we're not going to be able to perform there. You will. The show is going to still have an open mic after. But it's going to be the show. I mean, see, if I say it's going to be tighter, that means there's something wrong with it now. It's nothing wrong with it. It's just I'm going to be hosting there every Tuesday. Something that I wanted to do, get out there and host more. It's a lot of fun when you host. The host kind of carries the show. It's an important role. So I want to jump into it. And Johnny Rocks Hollywood knows he hosts a lot of shows. how important that host MC is. So it's a way for me to work on material, also engage with crowds. So it'll be Slack Key on Tuesday nights starting March 22nd. But please go and support Kenny Kusaka this Friday. And even if you're not there to support Kenny Kusaka, support the local Hawaii comedy scene. We have a lot of comedians, we got a lot of new ones too that are coming out, and it's really awesome to see when I go to some of these shows, and I see people who like just started and they're really interested, and I love it. You see the passion and the hunger when you give them, just like you talk to them about comedy, and then they're just like soaking it up. They're like, oh yes, they want to know more. They want to know more, and what do you call it? It's like, for me as a comedian, I've been doing it for a while. You know, it starts to make me think, man, where's my passion? Am I just, like, am I no longer like passionate about doing stand-up comedy? I love doing it, but just seeing the look in their eyes and how they're like, oh yeah, I want to do this and I want to be that, and it's like, wow, I need to put more work in. I need to have that same drive that person has, So it's like, when I saw it, and any of those guys, if you guys are, you guys watch this or listen to the podcast, hey man, hit me up, and I'm always willing to lend a helping hand or give an ear. I don't know. It's very different from back when I first started. It was kind of like, I'm trying to do my thing. I'm trying to get up and learn and yada. But now it's like, when I see them, I'm like, man, these guys are inspiring me. I wanna be able to help out. Yep. So Slacky will still have shows. Thursdays at Taqueria El Ranchero in Kapolei at Kamakana Ali. We'll still have shows. I'll be performing there as well. But next door, Friday, March 11th, I'm really pushing that because I really would love for Kenny Kusaka to have a full room when he performs. There's also another show at Blue Note, March 16th, which we'll dig more into when I have Johnny Rocks Hollywood as a guest on next week. This coming Thursday. When I have Johnny Rocks Hollywood as a guest this coming Thursday, we'll really jump into Comedy Kanikapila at Blue Note. 2 shows March 16th, Wednesday. It's a great lineup too. So just wanted to help push the scene if I could. Thank you. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is somebody that I've known for a while. I met him a couple times when he come to Hawaii to do comedy, and he's a super nice guy. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that. He might want to have a different, he might want to come into the podcast like a jerk or something. Like, I don't know what. But he's a super nice dude. To me, he's always been nice. So I always have love for this guy. Performed with him a few shows. Saw him when he came down with Sullivan and Sons. Loved his special when he was doing comedy with Axis of Evil. And they're going to have a reunion tour. But he's also got a podcast, a really good podcast called Hollywood Tales. Check it out on, the way I check it out is on YouTube. So go ahead and check it out there if you want. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the podcast, I can say, my friend, Ahmed Ahmed. What's up, man?
Whoa, what's up, brother?
How you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you. This looks like you're... Is it delayed or... Can you hear me? Can you?
I can hear you.
Okay, I hear you.
Let me try my headphones. Hold on a sec.
Okay. All right, cool. See, so now you guys know this is live. See?
This might be better. Are we live right now?
Yeah. No worries. I edit audio for when I put it into the Joe Rogan / Spotify.
What's that?
I edit the audio when I put it into when I upload the audio for audio listeners instead, but the live, and it's cool. Got people already saying hello to you. Johnny Rocks Hollywood says, Aloha Ahmed.
What's up, Johnny
Safari
Rocks?
Muse says, welcome. Cool. Welcome, man.
Hey, what's up,
It's
brother?
been a long
Nice to-
time.
Yeah, nice to see you virtually.
Yeah.
How's Hawaii treating
And then
you?
Greg wanted to make sure that I said hello to you from him. Greg has this.
Oh, yeah. Tell him I said, hey, I forgot to reply to your Instagram message.
No, I told him, I said, he liked it.
And you know what?
Because, yeah.
For some reason, and you know, sometimes you in your head you reply,
Yeah.
like you don't technically like push the button or send the thing. So in my head, I was like, oh, hey, tell him I say hey, but I didn't type it, but I liked it, and I love Greg.
That's what
Greg's one of the nicest. If you guys are listening and you don't know who Greg Azuz, it's Azuz, right? Azuz.
Yeah.
If you don't know who he is, he's one of the coolest cats on the planet. He was, or I don't know what he's doing these days. We haven't been in touch in a while, but he would always bring me to Hawaii every year to do shows at these really fun venues. And he's just such a nice guy. I went to his house. I met his family and we had lunch there. And he's just a class act, man. So tell him I said what's up. And if you're listening or watching, Greg, peace, my friend.
It's so funny because he would always check. He was like, oh, did you tell him I said hello? I was like, yeah, I told him he said hello. I was like,
You know what?
Did
I'll
he
reach
reply?
out to him. I'll reach out to him personally.
Did he reply? I was like, well, he liked it, so I'm pretty sure that means.
Was that yesterday? It was yesterday.
Yeah, but he kept asking me. He's like, so what he's doing
I'll
now
reply to
is
him personally.
okay. What he's doing now, he's managing. We have a comedian here in Hawaii that's just blowing up.
Cool.
He's like, his name is Tumua Tuine,
I work
and
with him.
he's.
He's
Oh,
the
that's right, at Blue Note.
Yeah, ex-football player, right?
Yes,
Like
yes,
linebacker
that's right.
for who do you play for again?
University of Hawaii.
Yeah, dude, I know him.
So
He's funny as fuck.
yeah, he sold out Blue Note like 21 or 26 shows in a row,
Wow.
and he sold out the
Yeah.
Blaisdell Concert Hall, which is like a little over 2,000 seats. He
And
sold it out.
What's the method to his madness?
Social media. What he
Social
did was
media.
he blew up on when the pandemic hit. He put out these videos. It was like he was a drug dealer, but he was selling toilet paper, and that video blew up. And he followed it along with other videos, and then like now he puts out that he's performing. He's doing a show at the Blaisdell Concert Hall here, and it's
Good
sold
for
out
him.
in an hour. Yeah,
Wow.
he sold out 3 shows in hours.
Wow, good for him, man. Tell him I said congratulations. I saw you guys were all
Wait.
having like food at some place called Tip Top or Tip something.
Yep, that was it. Yep, Tip Top in Kauai.
Yeah, man, I know.
And
Him. Tell him I say hi.
I will. And the funny thing was, so we're there. A fan comes up, and I just wanted to say hi. Shakes hands, and then as we were about to get the bill, the waitress was like, "Oh, that guy paid for it already." And I was like, "Man, it's good to be famous." It's like, man.
I got to start putting out more fucking drug dealer toilet paper videos, so people will start picking up my fucking tab. What would be even nicer is if I'm in the drive-thru at McDonald's, and you ever have that happen when you roll up and they're like, "Oh, the car before you paid for they paid it backwards."
I've done that. I've done that for someone before.
Yeah, I've done
It
that.
was
a couple times.
yeah, somebody let me go. Like they go, "Oh, you can go," ahead of them. And then, but here's the thing, though. I got a tight budget since I'm air quotes working comedian. So I asked him, "Hey," I say, "Hey, my friend in the back there, what did they order?" So if it was a lot, I wouldn't have done it. But it was like, "Oh, they ordered a meal." I was like, "I'll pay for that
I
too."
got it.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I got it.
If they're ordering for the office, then forget it. Forget it. But,
So
yeah,
how you been, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm getting back into it. I've been opening for a lot of comics, like Ronnie Chang has come down.
Oh, nice.
Panazzo when he comes down. So I've been getting a lot of the opening gigs, and I just started to
Now, do you reach
try to
out
be.
to them and say, "Hey, I hear you're coming down. Can I open for you?" Or does somebody connect you? How does that work for you?
Somebody connects me.
So somebody,
So
the
with
promoter says, "Hey, James Main
yeah,
lives here. He's a comic. You should consider this guy," and they do.
yeah. Well, it's James.
Good.
I mean, I know you know it's James Money, right? I mean,
Sorry, Mane. I don't know why I said Main. Mane.
because
As
even
a
though you're
white,
Arab, you're kind of white. Yeah.
technically, I'm not Arab. I'm from North Africa, Egypt. So technically, I'm black.
Ah, all right, homie. It's like,
Yeah, I've been, dude. I've been rocking that card a lot lately. Why not? I mean, I
well,
can.
well, so you know what they say about African guys?
Yep. We
It
have
works
no
for
money.
you too. There you go.
No money in our bank accounts. That's what they say. I'll
Oh
get
my
canceled. I'm for
goodness.
sure going to get canceled over this podcast.
Again?
I keep
But you
getting
canceled a
canceled.
few times?
I've had people try to I've had countries cancel me. But I've had a few people out there in the industry. Yeah, it happens. People don't like you, and they're gonna type on the internet and say this guy sucks and he did that, whatever. Or
Well, even other
you get,
comics.
yeah, I've had comics, not not cancel me, but get me banned from comedy clubs, or they'll call up a promoter and say, "Don't work with this guy. He's a cunt," or whatever the fuck. And you know the industry, bro. It's everybody's out for themselves, and I try to be fair. I try to be inclusive. I've always been an inclusive comic, and sometimes that backfires on you. So
Yeah.
look
So
out
those
for
of you that
number one.
yeah, if you want to hear that story, go to his podcast, Hollywood Tales, and he talks about it in one of the recent episode, right? I don't want to get into too much details.
No, you can. I mean, it was during the Neil Young Spotify Joe Rogan cancellation, news a few weeks ago, and I thought it was interesting because, here are these big so Joe Rogan. Just listen to the podcast. If you go to Hollywood Tales, I think the podcast is titled "Cancel," like the cancel episode. But I talk about how Joe Rogan kind of had it out for me, and he was never a fan of mine, which is funny because I used to be a fan of his. I used to watch him and be like, "Oh, this guy's fucking, you're a rock star," and then I never was famous or made as much money as he did, but at the Comedy Store, Mitzi Shore had passed me and brought me into the culture of the Comedy Store, and he didn't like that. He used to call me the mayor of Hollywood. He used to always go, Ahmed, the mayor of Hollywood, Ahmed. And I used to be like, "Hey Joe," actually I used to go like this, "Hey Joe." So, and then I had a falling out with a comic that he took sides with, and he was just looking for a reason. So he had called the Comedy Store and said, "If Ahmed Ahmed's on the lineup, I'm not going to perform." And the spots came out that week, and his name was not on the lineup, but mine was. And he called the club furious, and he said, "What's going on?" And the booker at the time, Duncan Trussell, I don't know if you know who that guy is, but he's a comic now. He's a really well-known and respected comic. But he used to book the Comedy Store for a couple years or whatever. And Rogan called him up and said, "What the fuck happened? My name's not on the lineup, blah, 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 blah." And he said, hey, buddy, I'm sorry, but Mitzi Shore told me to tell you don't tell her how to run her club.
Makes sense.
And then a couple weeks later, he had an incident on stage in the original room with Carlos Mencia, that famous YouTube video that went viral. So
stealing material.
yeah, which I was actually rooting for Rogan for that. Like I was like, all right, even though he tried to fucking get me banned, he's because nobody likes Mencia, and
right.
his nickname is Menstelia.
Right.
Carlos Mencia, I'll steal everything. His name's not even Mencia. His name's Ned something. Mitzi Shore told him to change his name to Carlos Mencia because he'll get the Mexican, Hispanic demographic. But his name is Ned. Ned, I can't remember his last name. You could probably find it online. And he's Honduran. He's not even Mexican. But anyway, they had their thing. It went on YouTube. It went viral. It gave the Comedy Store a bad reputation. Kind of. Like it kind of gave it a black eye. And then Mitzi banned him after that. So he disappeared for 15 years. He hung out at the Improv, basically. And then, he got famous. He started an awesome, ridiculously, well-known podcast. He started announcing for the UFC, and then Mitzi Shore died. There was a changing of the guards, and he came back to the Comedy Store and eventually kind of had me removed, expunged, if you will.
Wow.
I mean, I can't, confirm that, but I got a text message from the booker, Adam Egget, who said, and I quote, "I've been instructed by comedians to not book you."
Wow.
So I'm like, wow. So now the inmates are running the joint.
Right.
You're Samoan, right?
I am.
Yeah. So you're considered other.
Used to be, but now I'm Pacific Islander because the Asian Americans pulled us into their group. So, and I do a joke where I talk about because when Asian Americans, before the pandemic, it was just Asian Americans, but then now that they're getting picked on and beat up, all of a sudden it's AAPI,
Right.
Asian Americans and security. So it's like, man, all right, that's what you need us for.
Well, what
That's
are you,
what you need us for.
6'8"?
Almost, I'm 6'7", 6'7".
I remember how I haven't seen you in a long time, but I remember like standing next to you and being like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This guy's, and you're big too. Like you're a big motherfucker. God bless, man.
Well, I was 450 pounds, and I'm glad to say I lost 35 pounds.
Yeah, man, you look good. Yeah, I saw
you.
you were hitting the gym and eating right, and good for you, man.
It's only 2 chins now. I'm working, get rid of the second one. And actually, this trip I was just on was the first time where I didn't need a seatbelt extension in the airplane. So I'm like, I was like so happy. I was like, look at that. And it was both ways. So I didn't go to Kauai and gain weight and then come back and need a seatbelt extension. I'm actually doing all right. Let me check the comedy corner over here. Got some fans. Krusty Pete is in Germany. He would like for you to bring the Axis of Evil reunion tour to Germany.
Yeah, man. Soon. Stay tuned. But thank you, Krusty Pete. Yeah, man. We're doing our first ever 15-year reunion show on May 13th in Huntington Beach at a venue called Sea Lake. So if you're listening and you live in Orange County or Southern California, May 13th, you can go to eventbrite.com and just type in Axis of Evil Comedy Reunion. Tour will pop up. It seats 1,500 people, so we're hoping to sell it out. Nice. And yeah, it's the first time we will ever have worked together in 15 years. So we, everybody put their differences aside and said, let's get the band back together,
All right. So Zach Hajali, who's a local comedian here as well.
What's up, Zach?
Access of
Salam alaikum.
Awesome guest. There you go. So he's a fan of the Axis of Evil as well, and I remember when you guys first started touring, how huge it was, and you went over to do these shows in the Middle East, right?
We did. We started in America. We had, we started at the Comedy Store, and Mitzi Shore, going back to her, she was really the brainchild of Axis of Evil. She put a bunch of Middle Eastern comedians together, but even her, she didn't even realize Iran, Egypt, Palestine, like we were all from different parts of the Middle East, but
Yeah.
we were categorized as Arabs.
Yeah.
And then as years went on, we sort of dissected, because Egypt's not technically, even though our culture is Arabic, we're technically North African. Iran, they're the Persian Empire. They have their own sort of Middle Eastern culture, Palestinian with Aaron Cater. So she called the show Arabian Nights, and we later changed it to the Axis of Evil comedy show, because at the time President Bush, had coined the phrase the Axis of Evil, and we just thought it was perfect to do a comedy tour with that brand and name, and it worked. And then we shot a comedy special. We were the first ever Middle Eastern comedy show on national television in America. And I had taken the footage and gone to Dubai, and I presented it to a television network in Dubai, Showtime Arabia, who bought the concept, and then we became famous, like really famous, like the Beatles. It was crazy. I remember walking through the mall, the Dubai shopping mall with Maz Jobrani, and these teenagers would run up to us and say, "Axis of Evil, Axis of Evil, Axis of Evil," and I was like, "My name's Ahmed Ahmed," because there was a time and moment too where like we didn't want to be like Blue Man Group. You know what I mean? We wanted to kind of carve out our own. No, you know what I mean? Like we wanted to have our own. My name's Ahmed Ahmed, or Ahmed Ahmed for the Arabs. Maz Jobrani, Aaron Cater. We all had our own identity, and I think we were really becoming just like a group, like a band almost. We became really successful over there. We did a 27 sold out show in 30 days, 20,000 tickets. Around Dubai, Lebanon, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. We had a television series that was produced around our tour. If you go on YouTube and just type in Axis of Evil Comedy Tour Middle East, you'll probably find some footage of it. And then we split up. Everybody just, you can't, it's not a, as you know, stand-up comedy isn't a team sport. Everybody's just out for themselves, unfortunately. So, but
and that's the where I've been with opening for Tumua, who's been doing great, and I appreciate going along, riding the coattails and seeing the success that he's had. Because it's funny, because he used to open for me, and now I'm opening for him.
Crazy how it works out, right?
Yeah, and which I don't mind, because he's like you say, he's a really cool kid, and
he's a cool guy.
Yeah, so he's going to do on a tour in the States, where he's not taking me along because cost, where it would cost to fly some, so he's going to use locals at places that he's going to. He's going to be in Irvine April 2nd, by the way.
Good for him. Is he's Samoan too, or Pacific Islander? What's his nationality?
His dad is Samoan, and his mother's Portuguese, so he's
That's
half. Right. But super cool kid, and he said, he apologized to me. He said, I know you're a headliner, and I appreciate you opening for me, and and kind of like big brother him for the past few months. And I said, no, you've done you've been making car payments on my car, so I appreciate you. And he's saying
Yeah.
he wish he could take me with him, and it's like, oh, I understand. It's the bottom line is, you gotta, things cost money. So I didn't get into this to be an opener. I gotta work on me being a headliner. So that's where, going forward, I said, no, that's fine. You go and go, go do your tour. And sorry to jump off of something else, but going back to what you were talking about with Arab, Persian, I learned growing up in Hawaii, it's just Middle East. They're all, like you said, we're Americans, we see as one big group of people. But I learned from you, listening through you and at being guests in podcasts, and watching the Axis of Evil, shows, and that's where I learned. It's like, oh, so yeah, you're Arab. You're not. I'm sorry, North African. Persians are different. Iranians and Kuwait, they're all different people. They're all different culture. And it's when people say, oh yeah, but they're all, Middle Eastern, say that's like saying everybody in the Caribbean is the same.
Right.
Cuban isn't the same as a Puerto Rican, isn't the same as a Haitian, isn't the same as a Jamaican. That's what you're saying, that these are all the same. These are all different cultures and proud cultures. And even when you talked about having to do shows in certain places where people had to sneak in to come to the shows, because their life would be in danger if they found out, like, it's like women have certain, don't have the same rights as men in certain areas. And you guys had to do shows in what do you call that, the embassies or something like that, or
we did a lot of kind of like when we were in Saudi Arabia, we did a bunch of what do you call them, like these secret shows, not secret, but like back then when I was doing shows in Saudi Arabia, comedy was unheard of. So, but it was a big market because the internet was available. So like the young generation they could watch, American stand-up comedy on YouTube. So they knew who Chris Rock was. They knew who Jerry Seinfeld was. They knew Fluffy. They knew Kevin Hart. They knew me. They knew the Axis of Evil. So, but it wasn't really sanctioned at the time with the Saudi government. It was just such a new thing. But now they have full-blown comedy clubs in Saudi. Like, they're
nice,
operational, and the country's opened up really quite a bit, since the time that I've been there.
Yeah, because I remember you saying stuff like where, I guess women had to lie about where they were going to come to.
Yeah, so in Saudi, well, now women can drive, but when I was doing stand-up comedy there, women had drivers. So you cannot drive as a woman, but you get a driver. And they would probably tell their parents, I'm going to go meet my girlfriends for coffee or something. And go to the local, a lot of the Saudis, it's a dry country, so they don't serve alcohol. So it's mainly like restaurants, coffee shops, shopping malls. It's where people meet.
Yeah. And then it's funny because then I think when you were talking about like going out to and having regular, like, I'm going to say regular, but like the KFCs and the McDonald's, certain restaurants in some areas, but you predominantly, like, you never saw a woman by herself. You could see a guy by himself, but it's always...
Yeah, technically, you mean in Saudi or just in the Middle East?
In the middle, I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly which place you were talking about, but hearing
in Saudi Arabia,
about the differences.
In Saudi Arabia, you probably won't see a woman hanging out by herself. No. Typically, she's with her girlfriends or her husband or family or kids. She might be with her kids,
And so hearing you talk about that stuff, it makes me think about, like, wow, the how different, and you got to have like some, like compassion for like people in different areas. They live different lives instead of thinking everybody's like me. I go to Starbucks whenever I want, or my sister
Mhm.
can just get in her car and go and hang out at Starbucks by herself, or with friends, different genders, and not have to worry. And it's like, man, yeah, Americans really are, I guess it's lucky and stuck up, and it's like,
Yeah, we have. I mean, for the most part, we have just a lot more freedom than other
yeah.
countries, and but
And then
Saudi's
we
opened up
grumble.
quite a bit, you know.
Right, right, right. But this is where I started to think that way when listening to you guys, and when you guys went on these tours. And it's like, wow, I didn't realize, because of course they don't show that in the news or in our history books or anywhere. I can't, unless I actually search for it. But to hear you guys talk about it, it's like, man, I did not realize how it was over there, back then. And this is news to me. Let me go to the comedy corner here. Zach Hajali has a question for you. Did you guys have to dial back material for Middle Eastern audiences? There's a lot of stuff Arabs don't take too kindly being joked about.
Yeah, good question. Thank you, Zach, and ahlan wa sahlan. We when we did our first Middle East tour in 2007, um, every country had its own, rules and regulations, right? Um, I remember when we got to Kuwait, the promoter pulled us aside and he said, "Okay, you cannot talk about sex, drugs, religion, or politics." And we were looking at each other like, "That's everything. Like that's all. Like that. What am I gonna do? Hey, my name's Ahmed Ahmed. I have no material. Good night. Then you. So we're like, all right. So we kind of wrangled through that. We got to Egypt, and the promoter pulled us aside and he said the same thing. And he said, "But especially do not make any jokes about Mubarak, President Mubarak." We were like, cool. It will be 2 years in jail minimum. And I was like, all right, we won't touch Mubarak. But then when the Arab Spring happened and Mubarak was asked to step down, the promoters called me up and be like, "Ahmed, we want to do another comedy show. Do you have any Mubarak jokes?" And I was like, "Really? That quick? You guys just flipped the switch?" But then we got to Beirut, Lebanon, and I think that was our last country. Yeah, it was our last country that we had visited and toured. And I asked the promoter, he literally at the airport, he picked us up and I said, "Is there anything we can't say in Beirut, Lebanon?" And he goes, "Ahmed, say whatever the fuck you want. What happens in Beirut stays in Beirut. In fact, make fun of the politicians, make fun of the Hezbollah, make fun." I was like, "Nah, I'm good." Because you might have one, person in the audience who's like, and this is before cancel culture was going on. Imagine being canceled by Hezbollah. Can you imagine a terrorist organization going, "That was not funny"? That's fucking cancellation right there. The terrorist organization. When ISIS cancels you,
You are no more. I mean, it's just
Neil Young, get the fuck out of here. You ain't got shit on this.
spoiled American. which is so weird that it's such a weird thing that's happening with Spotify, and then with Spotify and Joe Rogan, with Netflix and Chappelle, and it's like, what's going on? If you don't mind me asking, how do you feel about cancel culture? Do you think they've gone too far?
It's awful. Look, if you don't like something, it's okay to voice your opinion that you don't like it. But to try to get somebody removed from a platform, as much as I don't appreciate Joe Rogan, I don't respect Joe Rogan, I don't like him particularly, I'm not a fan of his. But I'm also not in the place where I'm trying to cancel him. We do live in America. This is freedom of speech. Mm-hmm. Is it okay that he's dropping the N-bomb left and right? No, it's not. it's kind of a mixed bag. But this is America, and technically you can, we have freedom of speech, which is a beautiful thing. But it's backfired on a lot of people, and I think, with the whole cancel culture movement, it's awful. Chappelle shouldn't be getting, gaslit by the LGBTQ community. Um, you know, should artists have the freedom to remove themselves off of Spotify because they don't like the platform anymore because they promote a guy like Rogan? I think that's fine. Everybody has their, they're not getting paid anyway. That's what they all say. Like, all these artists are making pennies, if not nothing, on the dollar. And then Rogan's clocking 100 million, and they say it's off the sweat, blood, and tears and the back of my music, and I'm providing this library of content and blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. It's a little convoluted. I'm not at that level, but I can see it from the outside and kind of, comment on it as an Egyptian American, Muslim, North African, Arab cultured American citizen. I think I have a pretty broad perspective of, at least how it affects me personally. So, but yeah, the cancel culture environment, it's at an all-time high, and it has to stop. If you go to a comedy show, you don't have to like what's being said on stage, but shut your fucking mouth.
Right.
Just shut up. If you want to send an email later, or you want to complain to HR or whatever, go for it. But I constantly trigger people. I think I don't know, purposely, accidentally. I'll say stuff on stage, and people, they lose their fucking minds, and they'll call 911, or they yell shit out, and I'm just like, yo, shut up. I have 45 minutes of work, and this is my work.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like the way I cut wood, make a complaint to the fucking place afterwards. But I'm working, so zip it up. And you have a lot of those people in audiences these days, like, you can't say that, and that's disrespectful, and shut the fuck up and watch the program. It's not even a show.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even comedy. It's a program that I have. And if you don't like it, then sorry, no refund. There's the exit sign. I know I sound like a dick, but 51 years old and being in the game for so long and have been doing this shit around the world, I'm just exhausted by it. It's exhausting. Let me do my job. I don't come to your job and tell you how to fucking, cut wood or flip a hamburger or coach your kids or whatever. So don't do that to me,
Yeah. Yeah, it's always funny with stand-up comedians. People always feel like they have that right at the shows. Like you don't stand up at Hamilton and be like, that's not what happened. That's just incorrect. You don't
go to the movie theater and watch, a movie that's based on a true story and stand up and yell, that's not accurate. I read the book.
Yeah.
Sit your
the book is better.
Sit down. Sit down. How about you know what I'm gonna start, James? I'm gonna start a sit down culture. Sit your fucking ass down. If you want to cancel me, then I'm gonna tell you to sit the fuck down. Sit down. Did you just cry?
I guess
when I said that?
No, it was so touching. It was like I'm for it already. Let's start the fundraising. Get this guy. I was actually trying to figure out the acronym. It's like sit your. So we saw my eyes. That's what it was doing. Sit
your ass down. What is that? Let me see. Sit your ass down. SYAD.
Yeah. Or
Culture.
sit.
Or just sit down.
Down.
Sit the fuck down. That's another one. Sit the fuck down. STFD. It sounds like an STD. That's too close to
there you go.
venereal disease.
Sit sit your fucking ass down. I guess we'll figure it out. But
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think
we should do that.
I
We
think
should do
it'll
that
be-
tour. We should do that tour, the STFD tour. Sit the fuck down tour.
or the Samoan will beat your ass.
6'7", 3. How much do you weigh?
415.
Are you
415.
See, you don't look it though, bro. I think it's because you're just such a tall, big guy. You don't.
Yeah. If I was short, then I'd be round.
Right.
Yeah. So let's go to the comedy corner. Sea Safari Muse asks, have your comedic performance has been harshly criticized, which is you pretty much kind of talked upon. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've had somebody call, what's this guy's name? C Safari.
Safari. Yeah,
Oh.
I think it's his real name.
C Safari Muse. What's up, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had. If you Google Florida man calls 911, Muslim comedian, I'll pop up. It's like 100 articles. When a guy in Florida called 911 on me over a joke, he thought I was trying to start a terrorist organization on stage or some shit. I don't know. And then
Because that's where a terrorist want to recruit is at a comedy club.
of course, ISIS is sending their headhunters to Naples, Florida, and saying, Ahmed, I want you to learn English really good. And then I'm going to put you in comedy classes, and I want you to get really fucking funny, right? Then, I'm going
Because
to get you
we
booked
got
in
a
this
bad
little tiny
image, so-
comedy club. I'm going to get you booked in this little tiny comedy club in Naples, Florida. When you go on stage, that's when we get all your ISIS recruits. You get a virgin. You get a virgin. You get a virgin. It's stupid.
But one
So
American
that-
was there, and he was like, "Wait a minute, I'm onto your plan. I'm going to call the cops."
The joke, my joke is, hey, any Middle Eastern people in the audience, and a few people clap. And I say, that's great. There's a small group of us here, but really, it only takes one of us. That's the joke. This guy thought that I said, oh, there's enough of us to start our own little terrorist organization. I'm like, really? Like terrorists are wearing Nike fucking hoodies and Under Armour? You know, terrorists smoke weed. I smoke weed. A lot of terrorists.
Yeah,
not
that's
smoke
what I'm
weed, but
saying. It's-
Maybe they should. You'll kill terrorism. They'll be like, we're going to kill Americans. I swear to God. You know what? Tomorrow we'll do it. Right now, I just
Today-
want some good Hawaiian food, man. Hey, my laptop's about to run out of juice. Can you give me a second? Let me go get my battery charger.
Sure.
I just left it in the other room. Sorry.
No problem. I'll take this question here from C Safari Muse. What are the best strategies for memorizing involving monologues? Monologues are, even for stand-up comedy, it's funny because I was having this discussion with Tumua about other comics who work for certain venues where or even TV, they want you to do the same jokes done the same way every time. And of course, after a certain amount of time, you have it memorized, you have it locked down. I, on the other hand, when I go up, like Tumua will ask you what you're doing today, what's your line, what's your set, your set list for today, and I go off of feels, like, oh, I feel like doing this or I feel like doing that. I've done the jokes enough at open mics, at showcases, so that when I'm at a paid gig, then I've already memorized it. So that's what the open mics are for stand-up comedians. At the higher level you are, like say, I think Kevin Hart would pop up at some place, or Dane Cook, or can pop up at the Comedy Store or wherever, it's a Laugh Factory, and then they work on their material there. But we've done our material so many times that we will eventually memorize it. It's tough to write a monologue and then just perform it once. That's why when you watch like Conan or Leno or Fallon, they have cue cards because these are material that was written that day. Because they do so many shows, their writing team does all the writing. So that's where when monologues are involved, those guys don't memorize it. But as far as for stand-up comedians, we've done our material so many times that by the time when we get to our a headlining show, we've memorized it already. But the good thing about
Sorry about that.
no problem. The good thing about memorizing your set from doing numerous open mics or showcases is that when you're headlining, as you're doing your set, which you've memorized back and front, when something in the room happens in the room, you can go off on a tangent and then come right back to your material. So, as far as memorizing our material, it's from doing them numerous times. There's jokes I've been doing for over 5 years that I love and I still get a lot of laughs from. There's some that I've been doing for 10 years, so that when I come back and do, like I get an encore, I come back on and I do those old ones that haven't been done for a long time. But I've memorized them over 10 years and I go through them so easily. So that's how I guess I think a lot of comics do. It's just we do the open mics and we do the shows over and over and over again. And that's how we memorize our material. So going over material, Ahmed, I know some other people asked me a couple of days ago, like, what is your writing process? And I think with this podcast, a lot of the comics here in Hawaii, we only see each other. We wish that we could see national or international touring headliners like yourself weekly, but we don't get that privilege. So a lot of us are curious about, what is your process with coming up with material?
I don't really have a process per se. I know a lot of comics, and maybe I should, so I'm just going to try to shed some light in here. My window's right in front of me, so I'm just trying to this is my ring.
No, it looks the natural ring. No, it looks cool. It's like you're mysterious. You got that light that hits you across your eye. You just need like a funny looking cigarette, and then you're like, Dr. Jones. It's like, we've been expecting you.
I don't really have a process. I know, and I probably should. And if you're a comic and you're watching this, don't do what I do. I'm not saying I'm lazy, but a lot of comics will sit down for a couple hours a day with their notebook and really try to come up with jokes. And I just don't do it like that. I have to have something, strange happen to me in life, or bad or negative or just a weird interaction. And then I'll take that on stage. I'm more of a storyteller. I literally have 4 or 5 jokes that are like quick one-liners, but I'm not good at that. I know a lot of comics are great at that. Like, Adam Hunter. I don't know if you know Adam Hunter, but
Yep.
he's one of the smartest and quickest and fastest joke writers I've ever met. And he has awesome one-liners, and I just don't have that. I just don't think of comedy the way he does, and I think he's a lot more progressive, and he's just more up to speed than me. But I'll take one long story. My story will be 10 minutes. I take a long time to tell a story, but I try to sprinkle in little hints of funny along the story and make it interesting. Sometimes stand-up comedy for me doesn't always have to be laugh out loud funny. It could be oh, okay, you learned something, or you giggled a little bit, but it was more they have a point, that kind of thing. Chappelle's doing that a lot lately and recently with his stand-up. It's becoming more, I don't want to use the word preachy, but educational, if you will. And if I remember correctly, he came from a family of professors. I think his mom and dad are professors. He's
educators.
Yeah, he's one of the smartest guys out there right now. But so yeah, to answer your question, I typically have to have something like, you know, negative or weird happen to me, and then I just talk about it. I'm like, can you believe this shit? This happened to me, kind of thing. Yeah.
And a lot of it is your personality. Like you yourself is a funny person, and so like I see comics like that. Like I think like D. Ray Davis, where
Hmm.
you don't really see a written out set, but the person is themselves is funny. So and there's a comic here in our scene that's like that. And I was telling him, I was like, yeah, you can talk about your funny stories because it works for you. Your character, your personality, your charisma is funny enough that you can talk about anything. So there's people like that, and then there's people who has to write the
Yeah,
setup, the
yeah.
punch.
I've, and I say this with all humility, but I've really kind of banked on my uh, personality, charisma, whatever you call it. Like, and D. Ray is very much similar to that. There are a lot of comics out there who aren't necessarily great writers, but we have, you know, swag, if you will.
Hmm. Like
Uh,
Earthquake too.
yeah, it's just this natural kind of comedic vibe that you have. I do a lot of crowd work and I talk to the audience a lot, and that's where I get a lot of my, you know, like comedy from.
Hmm.
Um, but there should be a more, for me, I think there should be a little bit more discipline in the art of writing stand up,
Hmm.
because that's how you get really good when you write something that's funny and people connect with, and it's thought out. It's not just something you're shooting off the hip every night. It really depends,
Hmm.
man. There is no rhyme or reason to stand up comedy. It's like music.
Right.
You can't tell one musician one thing and one musician the other thing. There are certain chords you have to play. There's certain keys you have to hit. There's certain beats you have to, bang with your drumsticks. But there's, you know, everybody has their own sort of cadence and artistic
Hmm.
approach to it. With comedy, you know, it's different because uh, there is no drum beat, there is no guitar chord, there is no piano key. Maybe psychologically there is,
Hmm.
but for me, funny's funny, and I've seen people go on stage and not even say a word and get laughs. Just their facial expression, Mr. Bean or whatever. Like the people that just know how to, mimes and shit like that. And then you have people
Well,
that
Dane Cook.
do. Well, Dane's a force of nature, man. I'll say this about Dane.
Yeah, yeah,
I saw him last night actually at the Improv. Um, I saw him last night, and Dane is very calculated, but
Mm.
also, but his calculations come across as if they're in the moment. So he
I
found
see,
a
I
he,
see.
he found a really clever way to kind of be a magician and trick people, and he's good. He's one of the best. I mean, the
Mm.
guy sold out fucking Madison Square Garden like twice, so he's had multi-platinum albums. I think maybe one or two. I don't know, but I know he had a comedy album that went platinum, and his hustle is strong, and a lot of people like him, a lot of people don't. But that's my point to going back to comedy. It's all subjective. It doesn't
Right.
matter. It doesn't matter if this half doesn't like you, because this half will
Hmm.
like you.
Right.
I
It's
remember
basically
Vince.
finding your audience.
You got to find your audience. I remember Vince Vaughn is a really good friend of mine. I remember him telling me one day, "Hey man, out of 100% of people, 25% are going to like you regardless of whatever you do in life. 25% are going to hate you whatever you do in life. 25% can be swayed either way, and the other 25% don't give a fuck either way."
Mm.
So I just did the math in my head. I'm like, all right, so if I have at least 50% of the 100, and I can sway that other 25%, I'll take the 75. I'm good with that. I don't need to get everybody.
Right.
Not everybody likes Jerry Seinfeld. Not
Yeah.
everybody liked Richard Pryor. Not everybody liked Eddie Murphy. Not everybody liked Jim Carrey. You know what I mean? People just like what they like. I know.
But going back
Was that deep? Sorry.
no, that was a good one. I should have been tearing at that part. But going back to what we were saying with styles, and something that I'm starting to notice, because I started getting into the write out your set. Like, I don't write it out, but I'll put down ideas, and then I'll go to open mics, and I'll find a way to say it, get to the funny as fast as possible, and the traditional-ish style of comedy. But then I can get to a room doing that, and then the room just not like it's I just not connect with them, because I'm just doing my material. And then I started to incorporate where your style, where you're talking to them when you're and it kind of lets them know we're here together. When I do my jokey joke style, it's like, oh, you're watching TV, so be quiet. And then I don't get that interaction until I kind of try to put it together. And like when I said so, I try to drive a point across and really act like I'm really talking to the people. And it seemed to help me more, I guess, on stage. But yeah, that whole I noticed that the person like you, the Ray Davis, the guys that go out, and are talking to the people can succeed in more rooms than the, hey, I wrote this yuck funny thing, enjoy this. That will get laughs, but it won't get that was great. I won't get that compliment. That was great, or that's funny, but I didn't connect with them, so I don't get, dude, that was fucking funny. I started to notice the difference where the people who have that the charisma and that, I guess, it's like, use a wrestling term. I don't know if you watched any wrestling, but it's like the difference between Triple H and The Rock, where the people really responded with The Rock because he really engaged the people, whereas Triple H was like, this is my character, this is what I do. And
yeah, so, and I think that reads true and speaks volume to the world of stand-up comedy. For me personally, I got addicted to stand-up comedy after I was an accomplished actor for many years. And I had, I was in a bunch of movies. I was in, this is one of my movies right here.
Yes,
Adam
I
Sandler,
remember
You Don't
this.
Mess with Zohan. I was in Vince Vaughn's Wild West Comedy Show. I was in Iron Man. You're welcome. Let me pick up those credits I just dropped.
And that's my friend, folks. That's my friend.
No, I started out as an actor, so I just, stand-up comedy I just did as, it was something I kind of found on accident, because I wasn't getting cast and getting the breaks that I wanted as an actor. So I figured, let me go be a stand-up comic. I'll have more of a voice, and you know what I mean? And but then when I started doing stand-up, I became so in love with it that I kind of forgot about acting. And I don't, I haven't worked as an actor in 7 years.
Wow.
And I've even auditioned for quite a few things, and I just never got them. So I figured, there's a lot of politics too in the acting community, but I figured, well, if I was good enough, they'll cast me, and they didn't. So I just stick to what I know, what I'm good at, and I also produce a lot of stuff, and I'm developing a couple projects that I'm excited about. So, auditioning for a part in a movie or TV show doesn't excite me like it used to. Yeah.
So do you get that they said stand up is what, like, you feel like this is who I so when you do get an acting role, do you feel like you're a stand up comedian that's in a movie?
That's a good question. No, I mean, I take pride in acting. I've put out some really, not put out, but I've been in some really cool projects that I'm proud of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're an actor, you just have to be an actor.
Right.
And when you're a comic, you have to be a comic. And when you're a producer, like, I think it's fine to multitask and juggle
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of different aspects of your career, but you can't be good at everything at the same time, I don't believe. I think if you want to be great at something, you have to kind of approach it like an athlete. Look at Michael Jordan, look at Tom Brady, look at some of the greatest athletes in the world. Like, that's what they did. That was their thing. That was their jam. And they got good at it. Some of them got great at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went on to become, sportscaster, or endorse their own product, or start their own thing, or get into movies and
Mm-hmm.
shit like that. But I think you really just have to be really great at one thing. You talked about Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He got really good at that, and he talks about it all the time. I wanted to be a professional football player. I played for the University of Miami. I tried out for the NFL. I got cut. Then I went to Canada and I tried to play for the Canadian Football League, and that didn't work out. And then, he kind of pivoted it into acting. And, is he the greatest actor in the world? No. But what a fucking good-looking dude with awesome charisma, a magnetic smile. He's in shape. He's, I'm not gay, but he's, you like looking at the guy, right? Like, I can look at The Rock and be like, oh, I like looking at this guy. He is also entrepreneur. He has his own energy drink company, tequila company, fucking, Under Armour. Like, he's got his hands in everything, bro. Xbox. It's like, what don't you do?
Yeah.
And I always think to myself, when does he sleep? Like, how do you do all that? And he drinks tequila on top of it. So it's like, when are you sleeping, bro? So
And he gets up at 5 a.m. to work out.
I just think that, his production company is called $7 Productions, because
Mm-hmm.
at one point he only had $7 in his pocket in Hawaii. I think he talks about that on a lot of interviews and stuff. He was broke, and I think you just make a decision in your life, like, I'm never going to be broke again. I'm going to do everything it takes. I'm going to use every minute of every day, make that phone call, send that emails, study that playbook, memorize your lines, go to the gym, meditate, eat right, whatever the fuck you have to do in life to get you there, get there. And don't wait for that golden egg to drop on your head. It's not going to happen. You got to lay the egg. You got to be the person that's going to fucking get up every morning and sling your shit. No one's going to give it to you unless you earn it. You deserve it. I feel like I just
I
preached.
wonder when that I know it must be the turtleneck. I don't know.
It's not a turtleneck, bro. It's a fucking.
Oh, it's okay.
No, it's a Nike fucking turtleneck. What the fuck are you talking about, turtleneck?
Well,
I know.
It zipped all the
I
way
had it
up.
zipped up. I know it was cold. It's fucking cold on that. But no,
So
this is
it
not a
makes you very.
turtleneck. Look, let me just let me.
You're very artsy.
Let me read. Let me.
Very. There you go. It was
Is
very
that better?
deep and very like with a beatnik or something, and I felt like doing a lot of this thing here. And you started dropping it's $7, and like I wonder when that moment happens for me. Like, what will I have in my pockets to name my company? Like, it's like
Cheez-Its. Cheez-Its
be
Productions.
well.
I have 4 Cheez-Its in my pocket at one point. So my company's called 4 Cheez-Its Productions. I
4
didn't eat the
Cheez-Its and 2
Cheez-Its.
buttons.
I just gave them to the birds. I fed them to the birds.
And then I learned from the birds.
Right.
One bird spoke to me and said, "You will be a great actor." And then look at me now. I'm doing all McDonald's commercials. Oh man, I appreciate you taking your time.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm
brother.
keeping
This
you away
is
from.
fun. No, it's all good.
Is there anything that you other than the Axis of Evil reunion, anything else you got going on that you want to push other than the
Yeah.
podcast? Or
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, man. I always love watching you on social media, and I track you, and I just consider you a great comic and a brother. I consider you an oos.
There you go. See, you should take. There's some Polynesian rolls coming out. You know, you could. You look
Bro.
Samoan to me.
I have a TV show. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I'm developing a TV show. Based on I have a little brother. He actually looks like The Rock.
Nice.
And like big, muscular, tatted up. He spent some time inside, and I'm creating a TV show around his life while he was inside. And all the people that he ran with inside were other. So Samoan, Tongan, Fijian, Asian, you know, there was black, white, Mexican, other. So I'll leave it there, but there's for sure a role in this TV show for you. I already know which role I'm gonna write for you.
Oh, I'm starting to work out already. After this, I go and meet my trainer. No, seriously, I had to push my appointment, my meeting with my trainer back a half hour. But I'm gonna meet him, and that's why I've been dropping some weight. The guy's taught me. His name is Darren, and he started with just my walking. He's
Yeah,
saying,
that's where it starts.
Yeah, he's like, your posture is this, and you got to turn your toes, you know, your feet, your foot this way. Your body is adjusting for the back pain, but you need to coach your body to stop doing that because you don't have that back pain anymore.
Right.
And he's really breaking it down. So I'm sharing a lot of it on social media so other people can, you know, try to get with this trainer, and that's where I'm at. So hopefully I'll be, you know, chiseled in this movie. I'm actually coming up to
It's a TV series.
to LA and oh, there you go, TV series. Yeah, okay. But I'm coming up to LA to film with Tim Heidecker and Greg Turkington, who's Neil Hamburger. The weekend of April 22nd.
Hit me up, man. I should be here.
Yeah, so I see what's going on with you and come check you out, and it's gonna be a good time. I actually performed with Neil Hamburger this Sunday. I think it's April 24th. I'm not sure what the venue is, but he'll send me the information. So
Yeah, man. Let me know.
Coming to see you, man.
In any case, we'll meet up and grab a drink, coffee, or lunch, or whatever. And yeah, if you want to check out my podcast, whoever's out there watching, listening, it's called Hollywood Tales. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, the whole thing. Podbean. I basically just have guests come on. We talk about how we know each other, their careers, what's coming up for them, and then they end it with their best Hollywood tale, which is always fun. So I've had Vince Vaughn, I've had Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, I've had the list goes on and on. R.A. Sandell, Oscar-winning director. I'm going to have Victor Ortiz, pro boxer. Derek Holland, pitcher for the Texas Rangers. They're going to come on this week. Yeah, we keep it light and fun. And I'm on Instagram. I think I see it right there on the little ticker.
Ahmed Comedy.
Ahmed Comedy. And Axis of Evil 15-year reunion show happening at Sea Legs in Huntington Beach, on the beach. Go to Eventbrite. You'll find it. Axis of Evil comedy show reunion, 15-year reunion tour. That's May 13th. May 13th.
May 13th. Okay.
And that's it for now, man. Oh, I'm also doing a thing at the Stand-Up Club. It's called the Stand-Up Club. It's a really new, brand new, beautiful, hot comedy club that just opened up in Bellflower, California. I'm doing a fundraiser for Palestinian students on March 24th 7th, and then I'm doing Ahmed Ahmed and Friends March 30th. Uh,
Oh, nice.
and then August 10th, one more last plug. August 10th, Ontario Improv.
Oh, cool, cool. Oh,
It's
one
down
thing
the line, but yeah.
before I let you go, one thing I always like to ask for touring comics, and maybe I should have emailed you so you had something prepared. But um, what is like maybe the craziest, other than what happened with the guy calling the cops on you? Um, one of the craziest road stories, because everybody likes to hear who's got like the most insane road story. Is there anything that happened when I talked to Graham Elwood, and he went. This was back in I think the 90s, I think, and followed a woman in her car. She said, "Let's go hang out," and went to a cabin in the woods. And he was like, "Oh no, this is where I'm going to get murdered." And there was another guy in there who appeared to be upset.
Yeah, I can
So
imagine.
yeah, so what happened was
Um,
he took money out of her purse and left for for gas. He said. So that's pretty gangster right there.
yeah. Crazy road stories. I mean, around the United States, when I tour, typically we just do the show, I'll do meet and greet, depending on what city we're in or what the vibe is. I'll either go back to my hotel room and just order some food and watch a movie. Like I've kind of nerded out that way. But back in the day, we go try to find like a fun karaoke bar or like a place to go have some drinks and just kind of fraternize. When you come off stage, you're kind of like elated and happy. You should really just go
Adrenaline.
home. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
my advice to comics, young comics now, when the show's done, go home.
Yeah, I
There's,
agree.
there's nothing out there for you, especially after midnight. Nothing good happens after midnight. Um, you know, if you're single and you're like trying to pick up a chick or whatever, like it's just sometimes it's not worth it. It's just best to just get out of do your job and go home. Like that's it.
Yeah,
Maybe go to a diner and grab like a pastrami sandwich or whatever.
right.
Sometimes if the show ends like really early, I'll go to a movie, like a late night movie. When I was younger, my jam was to go out and party a lot. Go drinking, go find a hot spot, go get a table at this place, go to this spot and get drinks. But as I've gotten older, I just don't have the energy for it. I will tell you one really funny, quick road story. We were in Beirut, Lebanon. I was with Maz Jabrani and Aaron Cater, and this other comic named Wan Ho Chung, this Asian comic who was touring with us. And we were very famous at that time, in the whole Middle East, but especially like even Lebanon. And the promoter called us up and he's like, "Hey guys, listen, Hezbollah wants to meet you before the show." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Hezbollah wants to meet you." I'm like, "Hezbollah? Like Hezbollah?" He's like, "There is only one Hezbollah." I was like, "All right." I was like, "What did we do wrong?" Now we're, because in America, Hezbollah was considered or is considered a terrorist group. But they're not. They're kind of considered like, they're their own guerrilla rogue kind of institution. But, are they terrorists? No. They're protecting the people of Lebanon. I've seen it in front of my very eyes. So I'm not, advocating or promoting any sort of organization. I'm just saying, I just want people, whoever's listening, to know that, because they associate, these organizations with terrorism. But terrorism is such a loose word these days. You can call the LAPD terrorists. You can call the New York police terrorists. Like terrorism is just, it's a loose word. You know what I mean?
Us
So,
attacking
I
the
think you
Middle East,
froze.
we're the terrorists.
Right. So anyway, the promoter says Hezbollah wants to meet you. They're big fans of yours. And I was like, really? These guys are like watching our stand-up comedy clips online? He's like, yeah, they like you. I was like, so they're like, they want to meet you. They want to have you over at their like, whatever, warehouse, wherever the fuck, for tea. So I'm like, I just thought it was a strange request that Hezbollah wants to have tea with us.
Right.
So we all kind of look at each other, Maz Jabrani and Eric, and we're all kind of like, is this okay? Like we all kind of like went along with it. So we get in this car, we're driving through downtown Beirut, Lebanon. Packed, traffic everywhere. We pull up into this little area called Hamra. We pull into this alley. And the promoter says, just wait here for a few minutes, and they're going to take us to go to their place or whatever. I'm like, so now, you know, the hairs on my neck are fucking standing up, right? I'm like,
Right.
it didn't feel right. And Maz Jabrani and Eric, they're all looking at me like, we should go. This doesn't smell right. Plus, we had a show that night.
Mm.
So then right when we're about to take off, this guy in a moped pulls up. He's in a brown suit. I'll never forget it. He had a satchel around his chest. And he pulls up on his moped and he leans in to the car. And he goes, hey, access of evil? And we're like, yeah, hi. He's like, my name's whatever, I forgot his name. I'm Hezbollah's lawyer. I was like, oh shit, you guys got legal counsel? So he's like, yeah, I represent Hezbollah. I'm like, okay, cool. Who else do you rep? So then I'm like, you rep Hamas too? So then we're like sitting there, and they're like, Hezbollah is waiting for you. They want to drink tea with you and take some pictures and this, that, and the other thing. And for some reason, all of us just didn't feel right about it. We just felt like maybe this ain't good. Also, too, like, we can't be taking pictures with Hezbollah, and then they post it on their Facebook or whatever, and then we look like,
Facebook.
or whatever. Like, we would probably look like, you know, we're betraying our country because we're American citizens.
Right.
Here we are posing with Hezbollah. Right. So we were just like, I don't think this is a good idea. And they're all nudging me like, hey, Ahmed, you know, get us out of this. So I said, hey, you know what? It's getting late. I think we have a show tonight, and between traffic and getting home, maybe we should just live to fight another day. I know, no pun intended. Can we reschedule? And he's like, oh, you don't want to upset Hezbollah? And I was like, no. We don't want to upset Hezbollah, I swear. I'm just saying, time-wise, I think we need to go. And he goes, okay, I'll let them know. But you should next time make time, you know, for these guys. I was like, sure. And by the way, I was like, yo, if they want tickets to our show, I'll put, you know, Hezbollah plus 20. I don't know. Like, I'll put them on the guest list.
I was gonna say.
Can you imagine if the guy, like, they actually showed up? Oh, yeah, I'm on the guest list. What's your name, sir? It's under Hezbollah plus 20. This is my group. And they're like, and the woman's like, oh, I see your name here. Perfect. You're going to have to check in your AK-47s over here at the door. Okay, no assault rifles. And so,
and she gets real strict with the count. She's like 19.
She's like, no.
Oh,
no,
you have too many.
Too many Hezbollah. But we have a couple extra tickets you can pay for if you want to buy. So anyhow, the guy says, fine. Well, I'll let them know. Nice to meet you next time. We said, great. He said, in the meantime, take this. He reaches in his satchel and he goes, open your hand. And I open my hand and he puts 2 perfectly rolled marijuana joints in my hand. And he goes, that's for you, that's from Hezbollah. I'm like, Hezbollah's growing weed. So then the guy takes off. And I look at these joints. And if I remember correctly, Maz Jabrani, I can't remember if it was Maz or Aaron, but one of the guys in the car looked at me and they're like, yo, bro, throw that out. And I was like, no. They're like, what are you going to do with it? I was like, bro, this is Hezbollah weed. Like, we have to smoke this. He's like, I don't want to get in trouble. And they were in Lebanon. What are you going to do with that? And I pulled out a lighter and I just went. Man, we should have met Hezbollah. That's a true story.
They had the chronic.
They had the chronic. They had like Willie Nelson weed, bro. It was great.
Oh, snap. That'll get you in your thoughts right there.
Right?
That is Hezbollah weed.
That's actually
insane.
That's a good name brand for weed. Hezbollah weed. HW.
He's like, yo, I got that death row. It's like, nah, man, I got that Hezbollah. It's like, oh, snap, let's get that.
No, man, I got some nuggets from Hezbollah, bro.
No stems, no seeds. Oh, man, I appreciate you spending your time with me. It's good to talk to you.
I appreciate you.
I hit you up when I.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Us brown people, we gotta stick together, man. So we'll break it into this forever. There you go.
Yo,
I appreciate it, man.
Light brown lives matter too.
There you go. I'm actually dark. It's just the lights. I make it so bright. That way I get That way YouTube doesn't get afraid of me. So
right.
They don't categorize me into that other part of social media that nobody sees. So, but thanks, man. I appreciate you. I'll keep in touch, and then
I appreciate you, man.
I'll see you when I come up.
I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, James.
All right, we'll see you.
All
right. Oh, that was my friend Ahmed Ahmed. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for the questions, amazing questions in the Comedy Corner. Appreciate you guys. I got to go get my workout on, so let me just sign off and say thank you all. Let me get my producer, who's me, to get the music ready. Thanks again to people in Kauai for hosting us, myself and Tamua and Greg. Love Kauai. Can't wait to go back to do more comedy. Hopefully you guys can get a comedy scene developed there, because there's one on Maui, there's one on Big Island, there's one here on Oahu. We get people in Kauai to get interested in stand-up comedy. Who knows? The next big comedian might come off of that island. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Ahmed Ahmed, for being in the podcast. For everybody in the Comedy Corner for asking the questions. Really appreciate you guys spending this time with me as we sign off. Because I got to go. And I'm out.
It can easily be done if you just get it, man. And I'll be feeling it, the rhythm in my bones, shaking it and stomping on my feet, stomping to the groovy blues beat. Yeah, I'm on fire, baby. Can you feel me heat, lover? Well, I'll be feeling it, the rhythm in my bones, the rhythm in my bones. It's the rhythm in my bones.